In this video, I'm going to show some examples of how to order fractions in ascending and descending order. Of course, one way that you can put fractions in order is to change every single fraction to a decimal and then arrange the decimals in order. However, that's not always the most efficient way of comparing fractions. The first question says, which list shows the fractions in order from greatest to least? And my strategy for a problem like this would be to find the greatest fraction and find the least fraction and make sure that they're in the correct position in the answer choice, and then look at the middle fractions if you need to. Of these fractions, 9/10, 3/4, 7/12, and 1/3, the one that stands out to me is 1/3 because it is less than a half and all the others are greater than a half. So 1/3 is the least fraction of those, and we want the 1/3 to be the last one in order because we want to order these from greatest to least. So A, B, and C have that. 1/3 is the last one. D does not. So we're going to remove answer choice D. It is not correct. The next fraction that stands out to me is 9/10. And that one, it's only missing one piece, and the piece that it's missing is a 1/10, which is a very small piece. The fraction right next to it in answer choice A, 3/4, is also missing one piece, but the piece it's missing is a fourth, and a fourth is a larger piece than a tenth. So that 3/4 is a larger piece away from being one whole. So 9/10 is our greatest fraction, and I didn't even mention 7/12. 7/12 is just barely more than a half. So it's certainly not in competition for the greatest fraction. So I want 9/10 to be the first fraction in my list, and answer choice A has it in first in the list. B and C do not, so they are out, and we've got our correct answer now. The correct answer is answer choice A. Question 2, again, wants us to order them from greatest to least. So I'm going to look at those fractions and look for one that jumps out, and the one that jumps out to me right away is 1/5. And 1/5 again is less than a half, whereas all the others are more than a half. So this is 1/5 is going to be our least fraction, and I want it the farthest to the right, so I'm going to put it way over to the right. The next fraction that jumps out to me is 11/12 for the same reason as in problem number 1. 11/12 is missing one piece, but that piece is a very small piece. It is a 12th. 5/6 is also missing one piece, but it is a much larger piece. It is a sixth. And a matter of fact, we can change 5/6 to 12ths, and it is equal to 10/12. So we know that it is smaller than 11/12. So 11/12 is going to be my largest fraction, so I'm going to put it way out to the left. So now all I have to do is compare 5/6 and 7/10. And 7/10 is just barely more than a half, whereas 5/6 is nearly one whole. So 5/6 is going to be the greater fraction. And then we're going to have 7/10. So here's our order: 11/12, 5/6, 7/10, and 1/5. Now let me mention that we could find common denominators for 12, 6, 10, and 5. We could find the least common multiple of all of those numbers. And then we could change them all to equivalent fractions with the common denominator. And that denominator in this case would be 120. We could also change them all to decimals, and that would again give us a more exact way of comparing these fractions. But in this case, just using estimation and using your number sense about what you know about fractions will get them in order from greatest to least. Question number 3 this time wants us to order them from least to greatest. And I see a couple of fractions that are greater than a half, these two, and then a couple of fractions that are less than a half. 2/3 and 7/12 I can compare fairly easily because I can change 2/3 to be an equivalent fraction in twelfths by multiplying by 4/4. So 2/3 is equal to 8/12. So I know 7/12 is less than that. So I can go ahead and put these in order. I have 7/12 and then 2/3. I want them from least to greatest, so the 7/12 will be on the left-hand side. And then my two other ones I have that I know are less than a half, 2/7 and 5/36. The 536, it looks like if I multiply 5 times 7, I get 35. So this fraction here is actually, the 536 is less than 1/7. 1/7 would be 5 over 35, and we have 5 shared among 36, which is going to be a smaller fraction. So if I compare that to 2/7, obviously 2/7 is greater than 1/7, so 2/7 is going to be greater than 5 over 36. So I want these to be least to greatest, so 5 over 36 will be my smallest, and then 2 over 7, and then 7 over 12, and 2 over 3.